Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to have everybody on here today. And I see Kimmy there. Hi, Kimmy. I just wanted to share a little bit of my story here today, guys, and let you know a little bit what happened to me as a very young boy. I developed anxiety. Well, I can remember at 5 years old having my first panic attack, which absolutely scared me to death. I can still remember the day that I had my first panic attack. And since then, obviously through my teenage years, it got worse and worse and worse. And I struggled with it immensely. And so the reason for this whole webinar thing here today is because I want to share with you my story, and maybe I can offer some insights on what I did to help myself relieve myself of this, terrible disease of the mind. And, at one point in my life, I'll share with you that I was agoraphobic, where I couldn't leave my home for about 3 years. I was stuck at home in my parents' pretty well basement. And the anxiety was so debilitating that even going out to check my mail was a chore in itself. So I overcame all that and have a successful real estate career, which I actually am in my office today. And it's been fantastic. I've been able to do a lot of different things in my life in the last 15 years or so. And even getting on a plane, which I never thought I could do. I'll share a story with everybody one day when I went to Texas. Well, I'll put it this way, it involves an emergency landing because it was almost that bad with my anxiety. So I've been through hell and back with this, so I can definitely share some insight for you. So without further ado, I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story and what I found out that helped me. And I'd love to share with you exactly what went on. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to trying to help me here. So hit screen share here. Hang on one sec. Bear with me. All right. There we go. All right. Hit that. And I'm going to hit PowerPoint here. Okay. There we go. We're live. Okay. I'm actually unblocked right now. Hang on. All right. Got some echo back there. Okay. There we go. Can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. I can see that. Yes. I got lots of yeses in there. Okay. Perfect. All right. So I've suffered from anxiety for over 25 years. And as I mentioned earlier, I was agoraphobic and I was sick and tired of living in fear. As a man, I was pretty well, hang on a second, I'm going to get a little bit of feedback here. Yeah. Okay, here we go. It's just getting some things going on here. Sorry about that. You got the echo out?
I can't see the screen share.
Can everybody see me okay?
No, the screen share.
Hang on one sec. Can you guys see the PowerPoint at all? Hang on. From current slides. Can everybody see that? We got two computers going here, so bear with us while we just get some technical difficulties out of the way. We're perfecting our presentation here. Doesn't matter how much you practice, you're always finding there's little glitches that come up, right? Technology. Okay. There we go. Hit that button one more time, and away we go. There, I think we got it all under control now. I think you guys can see me okay? Yes? Kimmy says no. Okay, hang on a sec, Kimmy. Yes, yes. Okay, Kimmy says yes. Okay, good. Here we go. So, anxiety suffered for over 25 years. Started when I was 5 years old, as my story was first mentioned. Agoraphobic for over 3 years, where I could not leave my house, which was terrible. I was in my early 20s, and my friends were going out partying, having fun, and I was stuck in a basement. Like, it was almost like being in jail, almost like really being in jail. Nobody understood me. And depressed. I was sick and tired living in fear. I mean, I had a little bit of a joy in my life. I played a little bit of soccer. But even then, I was scared to leave the house. I stayed in my basement and read books and got fat. I ate a lot of pasta. I'm Italian, so that's what we did. And it wasn't very good. But we found out that I was, because I was agoraphobic, I found out being a man, it was double whammy. You know, I'm not sure as a man, but I found that I became more self-conscious. I had gained a lot of weight. I didn't want to leave the house now because of that. And the fact of the matter is, being a guy, you're supposed to be tough and macho, and being Italian, you know, you thought this is not supposed to be this way. Unfortunately, it was this way, and it wasn't very good at all. So my thoughts were keeping me a prisoner in my own mind. And a lot of you folks that must be out there that, you know, are agoraphobic, you'll understand that when your thoughts control you, and fear is a primary motivator in your life, you can't do much. And that's what exactly was happening to me. I was getting so many negative thoughts per day. They were coming in a million miles a minute. I have a good friend of mine, Amos, who recognizes this in me. He points it out to me. Dario, you're doing it. You're thinking negative. You're thinking a negative thought right now, and you're portraying negative. And I really appreciate him calling me out on that, because I still do it. But I've got to catch myself. And I'm going to share with you some tips that I learned how to do this, okay? Life at this point was not good, and I was just a young man, 21, 22 years old, just the world was my oyster, and here I am stuck at home. It wasn't a very good time at all. It was actually embarrassing. But it wasn't my fault. So I've done a little cycle of anxiety here. What starts it? There's usually a trigger. Then you go into panic mode. Of course, worry. And then what's your belief system? And over control. And as agoraphobic as an anxiety sufferer, you'll find that you like to be in control. Anxiety sufferers usually want to be driving a car if they can. They want to be in control of the situation, because anything out of their control, they get crazy. They just, you start to get really, really anxious. And that's why a lot of us don't like to be in planes, or to be passengers in cars, or be in the back seat of a car, or be stuck in a freeway. It's a loss of control. So this is what we're going to talk to you about. And I'm going to share with you how we're going to identify these disorders of the mind, okay? So the anxiety stats, let's talk there for a little bit. The anxiety disorders is an amazing stat here. If you can look here, between the age of 16 and 24, 25 to 34, and 35 to 44, the age groups, there's literally millions of people that suffer from this disease. And it does get a little bit worse as you get old, less as you get older, but usually in the 20s, it hits us a lot faster, because a lot of mood changes happen at that time. And a lot of times when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, a lot of things have happened when you were younger. And it can all affect anxiety. So I know for myself, I had a really worrisome mom. She's an Italian mom, and she almost coddled us as boys, as 4 boys, and she was always making sure we're fine, worried. She still does. She still calls me, "Are you okay?" And like, I'm 48 years old, and she's still calling me and wondering if I'm okay, and I'm got home safe. That's how moms are, especially Italian moms. So I find that didn't help either. So that caused my anxiety to get worse and worse and worse, and it became again a panic stricken at a very young age. How many people suffer from anxiety? Well, I can tell you that 40 million adults in the United States, we use the stats in the States right now, that suffer from anxiety, age 18 and older. That's 18% of the population. Anxiety disorders are highly treatable, okay? Yet only a third of them receive treatment for their anxiety. You know, I'm going to get into this in a few seconds here, but I self-medicated for many years. Not only was I into medication like anti-anxiety pills, but you know, a lot of times drinking was a way out, because I didn't want to cope with these feelings. So when I drank, what ended up happening is I didn't feel the anxiety as much. I went numb, and that's a very common effect. And that's why a lot of the anxiety sufferers go into alcoholism, where they decide that, you know what, I don't want to feel like this anyway. I mean, you just drink your problems away. But the problem is when you wake up from that drinking, you're going to find that your problems are full. Okay, and happiness, of course, as you know, doesn't come from the bottom of a bottle, but at that time, I sure thought it did. So my goal for you today is simple, my friends, is by the end of this lesson, you want to be able to identify and label irrational thoughts and behaviors in your journey to conquer anxiety. As you apply my STA method, your life will see the rate of progress increase. So you will see the rate of progress increase, because what's going to happen is you're going to identify these negative thoughts in your mind, and you're going to label them. And that's very, very important. I play a little game with myself. Every time a negative thought comes to me, whether I be in the freeway, or I might be in a plane, or I might be anywhere, I tend to now have a little game I play, start to identify, what thought is this from? And how am I going to conquer this thought? So I have the belief system that comes up in me, and I know, okay, that's not right, Dario. Why are you thinking this? And I try to conquer it. And that's helped me amazingly in my recovery. And I'm going to share with you some of these techniques that I've used. What makes this whole thing different? Well, I've been where you are. I'm not just a guy here on a webinar going on theory. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I have felt the way you feel. And after many years of suffering, I put together a series of steps that have helped me conquer this anxiety. Do I still have anxiety? Absolutely. I'm always going to have it. Do I have a cure that's going to end it forever? No, because then that wouldn't be human if we did. So the truth is, I have a privilege to share these with you. And I'm going to do a series of webinars here in the next few weeks. It's going to share with you different things and techniques that I've learned to be able to help you. So I'm here to guide you and help you see the light in the tunnel. And know it's not a train. It's going to be a light, and it's going to be able to help you. And you're not alone. I want you to know that you're not alone in this, because when in the early 90s, when I was first diagnosed with this, I felt I was alone. I thought I was the only human being in the world that had this. And quite honestly, I didn't want to live anymore like this. I just did not want to go on, because what fun is that? I wasn't doing anything for myself but sitting home, eating, and I wasn't even working out. I was doing nothing. And the odd time I'd play soccer, but even that was a challenge to get to the games and stuff. So I had to have somebody drive me, which wasn't cool at all when you're 22, 23. So I've done a lot of things right. After over 25 years of battling this disease, I've put together the right formula for you to bury this anxiety monster once and for all. And it all starts here today. I want you to look at this as hard work and discipline to get the greatest gift of possible for yourself. And you know what that is? The greatest gift would be peace. That's what I can offer you today. That's right, peace of mind. You're going to have peace of mind, the peace to know that no matter how bad it gets or how bad you may feel, you're going to have the peace of mind to know what to do and how to do it. And this is what came to me. And I know you got this. You can do this. And we can change this together. So the 3 C's of life: choices, chances, and changes. You must make a choice to take a chance, or your life will never change. And that's exactly what I did. I took a choice, a chance, and I put them together, and I said, I'm going to do this. And it took many, many, many hours of therapy, reading books, and hours of struggling with this that came together with what we have here today. So I've also done a lot of things wrong. It's been an uphill road for me. I've been through hell and back with this, and trying to figure out what was wrong with me was absolutely insane. Doctors, therapists, a lot of them wasted my money and time. I had to go through many of them at $120 an hour, some were more, in a time where I wasn't working, barely minimum wage. So parents had to help, right? After years and years of research and trial and error, I came together with a little method that really has helped me. Actually, I put together a whole program. It's really fantastic to help me change my life, and I hope it changes yours. So we talked a little bit about psychologists and stuff and doctors and whatnot. And, some of those, therapies can work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash doctors at all. That's not my goal here today. But, a lot of them, they studied in theory. They've never gone through a panic attack. And if the best way I can explain the panic attack for me was this. Picture yourself driving your car, and it stops on the railroad tracks. You see a train coming at you, lights full blare ahead, and you're stuck and you can't get out of your car. That was me 24/7. So if you see me, I'd be like a duck sitting on a beautiful pond, beautiful, peaceful if you looked at me. But my feet were going 150 miles a minute. That's exactly what it felt like to be in my life. So I was like a light switch turned on all the time, and I could not turn that off. The thoughts kept flooding my mind 150 miles a minute, and I could not get those thoughts to stop. And those thoughts, it was the cycle I talked about earlier before, just went around and around and around. And the more I fought it, the worse it got. The more panicked I got, the more the anxiety levels went out. And pretty soon I was having anxiety attacks every 5 minutes. And Ativan was my best friend. I just took Ativan and wine. That was my diet. I was on an Ativan and wine diet. So it wasn't very good at all. It wasn't very healthy. And I'm going to share how I overcame that. What I discovered first is that negative thoughts kept me prisoner, not only in my own mind, but in my house. As I stated earlier, the thoughts were everything that were flooding my mind, were everything to me. So I thought, what if? What if these people think this of me? What if I go crazy? What if I lose my mind? What if? I lived on what ifs. What ifs was my life. And that was not healthy at all, my friends. It was very, very, very scary. And I can remember only sleeping 2, 3, 4 hours a night because the thoughts would just wake me up in the middle of my sleep. It was unbearable at times. So thoughts number 2, what I discovered, negative thoughts kept me negative and anxious all the time in a perpetual cycle of irrational thoughts. As I stated earlier, the thoughts did not stop. And even in the middle of the night, they came and they were flooding my mind. What I'd like to ask you now is how many of you folks out there have suffered what I've talked about here with the thoughts coming in at 100 miles a minute? Let's just take a look here. How many people out there have actually felt it? Yeah, every day. Okay, so I see that. Yeah, a lot of people out there have suffered that. And, it's not only it's something that you have to stop. It's, this is something that you have to really get control of because it can ruin your life. It really can. It ruined mine because that's all I thought about is the next panic attack, right? What I discovered number 3 is if I was to be anxious free, it would be up to me. And it was really the battle of my mind. I had to take my mind back. And that's the truth of the matter, right? Is if I can narrow it down, a lot of people ask me, what did you do? I had to take control of my mind. And my mind was, it was like it wasn't mine. It was, oh, I'm off screen there. But it came off, you're going to check that for me? Can anybody hear me still? And somehow I got off screen. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, they can hear me? Okay, so we'll just carry on and trying to work in the background to find out why the video went down, but we'll just keep on going. Okay, so I discovered this just the hard way. Thousands of dollars on professionals, years and years of struggling. I wanted to either sleep or die all day. And quite honestly, I was in a massive, deep, dark depression because nobody understood me. And I will not hold back today on everything I've done and how I labeled my distorted thoughts. Okay. All right. So the hard way of doing things is this is how most anxiety sufferers cope. And this is how I coped, as I stated earlier. Expensive doctors, psychologists, use of fear of anti-anxiety medications. Anxiety medications in themselves was a fear of mine to begin with. Just gonna do one check here for a second, or I'm back on again. For some reason, we had a blackout. Okay, we're back though. Okay. So the use of anti-anxiety medication. I can tell you my first prescription was some kind of chloromazepam, I believe the name of it was, and I had it on my end table at my home there for weeks. It felt like that I did not dare touch it. My fear was I was going to take this pill and I wasn't going to wake up anymore. And I took this. I was scared I was going to take this pill and go nuts, and I'd never come back, and nobody would understand what I was talking about, and I'd be in a straitjacket in a rubber room with a helmet on it. That was my thoughts, and so the other screen's here. Okay, so that was my thoughts, right? So I was self-medicating, and can everybody see me? Am I looking at the right camera here? Okay, so just see the other screen. It says there. Okay, so self-medicating, and just bear with us. This is our first webinar, so we're just learning how to use all this technology. We've got a couple of computers on at the same time, and it's quite different. Self-medicating, use alcohol, recreational drugs as a crutch. A lot of us have used that. Like I mentioned earlier, wine was, and later on, Ativan was my best friends, right? Some do nothing at all and hope will just go away. And what ended up happening with me was I prayed to God every single night that this would go away, and it would not. I would not wake up with it. I was praying for a healing, actually, and I was just praying that this terrible thing would I'd wake up and be a normal person again. And that's the thing that I was really praying about. And my miracle did come. It wasn't overnight, but it did come in a little different way. I had to do a lot of work on my own first. So most people do want the easy fix. You'll always find a little bit of anxiety because we're human. I will teach you how to harness that negative, anxious energy and change it into a positive, proactive lifestyle. My goal is very simple for you today. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a doctor professional, but I've suffered with this for many years, and I can help you overcome. In the past, because of my anxiety kept me at home and housebound, I did not know who or what can help me. My parents were confused, had no answers. My brothers kind of ignored me because they didn't really understand it. It's not their fault. Just didn't get what was wrong with me. I can remember one time, my dad says, just go on the freeway for 5 minutes and come back. And I did it. And my heart was racing through my chest. And he said, see, you're good now. You're cured. And I'm like, no, because I want to die. My heart's pounding out of me. He didn't understand, right? He's an older Italian guy from the old country. And he thought, no, you're good. Just go. So that wasn't the cure-all, right? It wasn't that I had to get on the freeway and drive for 5 minutes. It was the thoughts. I had to control them. And I had to harness that negative energy. And that was the lowest point of my life, to be honest with you. So to know that you are a prisoner of your mind is the dawn of wisdom. And that's the thing I want to share with you today is I started figuring that out, a few years later, that, wow, if I can control this through my mind and how I'm reacting to these situations and why these negative thoughts are coming to me and flooding my mind, I know I can get better. And I did. So I discovered what's called the STA method. And a lot of people say, what's an STA method? I say, stop, think, and act. That's my STA method. And so now when the negative thoughts come, I'm going to help you train to say, you know what? I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to stop, because it all starts with your thoughts. It starts with your thoughts, and then the action takes place. So we're going to show you how that all comes to a head here. So the first one, as I mentioned to you, is stop. Step 2 is you're going to think, and 3, we're going to act on that thought. Okay. So the next few slides, I will break this all down for you and dissect exactly what I did to help myself. So for the first thing we're going to talk about is stop what you're doing. I want you to breathe and take a deep breath. That's the first thing you're going to do when a negative thoughts hits you. Because I tell you, when I'm on the freeway and 10, 15 years ago, and the traffic was starting to slow down, and my heart was going to start bouncing through my chest, and I can feel it going boom, 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 and it's starting to go, and then the thoughts would start to go, and boom, and the cycle starts beginning. And we had it at a level as 1 to 10. 10 was the peak. And an anxiety attack, when it hits you at peak, will last you 3 to 5 minutes, but it feels like you've run a marathon at the end of it, and you are tired at the end of it. Many of you guys can agree. How many of you guys feel tired after a panic attack? Let's take a look here on the screen. Yeah, it burns you out, doesn't it? It just feels like you've had a, yep, everybody. You find that your anxiety starts to really control your life. And I say the best workout I ever did was have an anxiety attack. It's the best cardio I think I've ever done. Because I'm telling you, at the end of it all, the anxiety, my heart would be racing so hard. And not only that, but I was drenched in sweat. It's like, it feels like I did yoga, hot yoga. It was just unbelievable what I went through with that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is think. Think about what type of irrational negative thought you're thinking about, because it all starts there. Remember, the brain is very incredible. Like, you'll start getting the thought, then you'll get the physiological symptoms, and then you'll get into full-blown panic attack. And so we have to stop it. You have to nip it right in the butt. So it starts with the thought. So I want you to really think about the next time you get a panic attack, what were you thinking about at the time? And this is really going to help you. And act. Use your positive self-talk to shift your thinking into a positive action. This is what I started to do that really started changing my life, is when the thoughts came in, I stopped it, and nothing survives in a vacuum. Okay, so it's nothing. If you look at a vacuum, nothing's in there. So I had to replace that negative thought with a positive reinforcement thought, and my brain started to think, okay. So then my body didn't go into panic mode. My heart wasn't racing 150 miles an hour, and I was learned to calm myself down. And pretty soon it was an automatic response. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about here in the next few slides here. So what are the types of irrational thoughts, and how do you shift your thinking? Okay, so here we go. Here's the top 10 irrational thoughts. And we're going to go through most of these, and we're going to share with you exactly what I did to overcome them. I'm going to give you some examples of the top 3, because we don't have time in this webinar to go through every single one of them. But all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, a mental filter, discounting the positive, jumping to conclusions, magnification, how you magnify a problem bigger than it is, emotional reasoning. This is a reasoning that you're going to do with yourself. Should statements. I lived on should statements. I should do this. I should clean my car. I should do this. I should be a better person. I should on myself. That's what I did. I should on myself every day. And don't do that. That's a big no-no. Never use the word should. And labeling, how you're going to be labeling your thoughts, and personalization and blame. This is going to be huge for you guys to understand. Okay, here we go. Let's start with the first one, all or nothing thinking. You see things in black or white categories. If a situation falls short of perfect, you see it as a total failure. And again, I talk about one of my best friends, Amos. We were praying for his mom who's not well, and I thought she should be healed the next day. And I thought it was a failure because she wasn't healed and walked out of the bed the same night. And he said, no, it's not. It's not a failure at all, because God does things in his own time. So my thinking, again, you see, after all those years, it's still there. So I still have to call myself on it. And this is what agoraphobics, anxiety sufferers do. I'll give you an example. All or nothing thinking is a negative pattern. When thinking all or nothing terms, a person would typically see things in the extremes. Everything from the other person's view of themselves into their life experiences divided into black or white terms. So all or nothing thinking often involves use of absolute terms like has never or every. You see yourself as a winner or a loser. It's very, very, very well black or white. My panic disorder was often susceptible to unworthy thoughts of inadequacy because of my condition. I overlooked how valuable I was in roles such as a friend, employee, son, and now that I'm a father of 2 boys, I tend to really start to think how I'm projecting them to the 2 little boys that I have, right? It's important. So I was asked to be a best man at a wedding once, so I had to do a speech. And, I'm never really shy too much in front of the camera. And when I do public speaking, I've done some of it, although public speaking is a fear number 1. A lot of people would rather die than do public speaking. And that had to take itself a little bit of training to do that. But I panicked. And I remember standing in front of the crowd. It was been 250, 300 people in a wedding. And I was just like, I saw a deer in the headlights. It was like, boom. And almost immediately, my panic and anxiety moment for me, and I had to correct myself immediately. Negative thoughts. I'm blowing this. People are staring at me. I wish I could talk comfortably and look nervous. What am I doing here? I'm looking foolish doing this. And why would anybody ask me to do this? I look like an idiot. I'm doing this all wrong. These are the thoughts were flooding my mind all in a nanosecond. This is all happening while I'm staring at the audience and the mic in my hand, right? So, almost immediately I had to change that. I had to change that, or it was going to be a mess, right? So I challenged my beliefs, and I said to myself in my mind, wait a minute. What do you mean you're blowing this speech and doing this all wrong? Is there an actual way of doing this right? Says who? I says, that being said, you sound great. You're comfortable. They've asked you to be a best man because you could be a funny guy. You could be a sincere guy. And somebody took the honor of asking you to be a best man. So yeah, no, you're qualified to do this. And there's no right or wrong way of doing a speech. It's you. It's you talking about the groom and having fun and sharing with the audience a couple stories. And you'll be amazed at when changing your thoughts, my panic almost dissipated. It actually dissipated. And I felt confidence surge throughout my speech. And I made people laugh, and people enjoyed the stories I said about one of my best friends, Joe, that got married. And it was an incredible evening. And a lot of people at the end of the speech said to me, that was great. That was very funny. It was like 5 or 7 minutes long. It wasn't very long, but man, it felt like 2 hours. But this is how you diffuse a situation. And you reinforce the negative thoughts with positive ones. And it doesn't take very much, but you can diffuse a situation that can get pretty ugly pretty fast. It's no different than a swimmer, for example, who's caught himself in a wave and he's drowning. I mean, you have to take control of the situation. And, panic is the worst thing you could do. And it all starts with your thoughts, okay? Another one I want to share with you is called overgeneralization. I'm sure you can see that on there. You see a single event, a negative event, such as a romantic rejection. I've had a few of those when I was single, or a career reversal, has a never-ending pattern of defeat by using words such as always, or never, or every time when you think about it. I'll give you an example of that. One of the examples of this sort of limiting belief would be in my life. I can remember wanting to take the kids to the park when I was full of anxiety and teach them how to rollerblade. And the weather was just horrible. It was raining. And I caught myself in a few negative thought patterns. Went something like this. Every time I want to do something, it pours every damn time. I can't do anything right. Why does it always happen to me? Why do I deserve this BS? Why does it, what kind of, it's always something has to happen every time I want to take the kids out, and almost ruined my day with the kids. See the pattern? Watch this. Challenge the belief. Hold up, Dario. Do you actually control the weather now? Are you that good? What do you mean every damn time you want to do this, it rains? You went like twice, and a couple times it was raining. The kids had a blast. This only happened a few times. A little bit of rain with the kids. They had a great time rollerblading with you, and you can't make the rain stop. So seriously, you're not that gifted to control the weather. So a little bit of rain never hurt anybody. And right away, of course, the anxiety dissipated, and I thought to myself, yeah, that makes sense. And you know what? We had a fun time. The kids went out. We went around an area called Mill Lake around my home, and we had a really fun time rollerblading, and the kids had fun running around, and it was drizzling a little bit, but they had a great time. So I almost ruined not only my fun time, but the kids, because of an overgeneralization belief that I thought, the rain was going to ruin my day. And it's amazing. Little things like that can actually cause us anxiety sufferers to go into a full-blown panic attack, because the old self, I would have just not gone out. I would have said, damn it, I'm just going to stay in today, forget it. And I would have ruined a perfectly good day. I've canceled so many dates. I've canceled so many outings. I've canceled so many parties. Anxiety sufferers like myself are big procrastinators, and not because we want to be. It's because the last minute we pull out, because the reason why is because of the overgeneralization of our thoughts, and we just don't want to go through with it. And you have to learn to overcome, and we're going to do this together. The third block you're going to find is what's called a mental filter. As you can see on the screen there, you pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it exclusively so that your vision of reality becomes darkened. Like the drop of ink that discolors a beaker in a thing of water, for example. People with this form of negative thinking often see their glass as being empty rather than full in any situation. That's called mental filter, and we're going to share a little bit how that works. I'm going to give you an example in my life how that mental filter came to play about 8 years ago in my life, in a story here. in my day job, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a realtor. At one time in my life, about 10 years ago, I had my own real estate company, and I had a firm with 3 or 4 different realtors that we started. And sometimes on occasion, I was asked to teach a few of the realtors, the new ones, the newbies, techniques on how to sell, and maybe some things that I've learned over the years that I can share with them. I was very honored to be asked that. Of course, the negative thinking right away started. As soon as I was asked that, the heart started racing, and I think, oh, can I do this? What if I screw up? What do I think I'm gonna feel? All this started happening. One particular summer day, I'll never forget, I had a class of 15 students. In the middle of the class, one student, while I was sharing my stories and sharing my techniques, one student takes the newspaper, puts his feet up, starts reading the newspaper with his feet up, yawning. So he was reading the sports page. I felt like crap, and I thought I was boring. I was uninteresting. I was actually offended. And the rest of the class were taking notes, but my mind focused on this one negative guy who had his feet up, yawning, and reading the sports page. And at the end of the class, I'd say 95% of the students all came up, and they said they loved my teaching, and the class was amazing. They said, Dario, it was great. We took a lot of notes. There's certain things that you taught us I never thought of in a situation to ask the client that. And guess what I was thinking about the whole day? Take a guess. What do you think I was thinking about? If you said I was thinking about, that one fellow, that jerk, it says on there, exactly. I was fixated on him. That's all I could think about is that guy. And right away, the thoughts came. It must be boring. Why am I boring? No wonder that guy sucked reading the paper. I sucked big time. Why did I do this crap? I've got other things to do in my life. And here I am on a summer afternoon teaching 15 newbies, realtors, green as grass, how to do real estate. And I get this jerk with his feet up reading the paper. What the hell is this? Man, that guy looked like he was going to fall asleep. The negative thoughts just flooded my mind, even though I had 14 of them come up to me and say, you're fantastic. And can I get a photocopy of the stuff that you taught? And oh my goodness, I really love it. No, I focused on that one guy. That's called mental filter. So my challenge was this. When I went home right away, I had to stop it. I said to myself, look, Dario, you had 14 students that stayed after class, commended you on your work. They even wrote little letters to the managing broker at their office saying that guy was good. Can we have him back? Like he's a natural. He was good at teaching, and how they learned so much. And I had one guy in my class that was focusing on his newspaper as opposed to being focused on learning. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe this guy had a bad day. Maybe he had personal issues. Who knows? And really, at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, I did an amazing job teaching these students. Next day, I went to the office and I sat down with one of the brokers in the office, and I said to myself, I was saying to myself, like, who is this guy? Like, what's his deal? I was still focused on this guy. The negative energy was amazing. I found this guy barely spoke any English. So he was not only frustrated, not understanding anything, he couldn't comprehend what I was talking about because, as you probably can guess, I talk pretty quick. And not that I was uninteresting. He just didn't have a clue. And he was going to just read the paper to put his feet because he was frustrated. He wasn't from this country. And I didn't know any of this. I mean, I was just thinking this guy was, and he couldn't grasp the English language. And at the end of the day, I don't even know how he got through the real estate exam, because the real estate exam is as thick as a phone book. But he got through that through an interpreter and through some coaching. But when it came to really learning the principles of real estate, he couldn't figure it out. He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And again, that's mental filter. I focused on one thing that particularly was going to ruin my little bit of my first time or second time teaching. So that's exactly what mental filter is. So I want you to be aware of that. Sometimes we have positive things happen in our lives and we focus on one negative thing. It's no different than you wear a beautiful outfit and 15 people say you look absolutely beautiful in that, or you look amazing in that suit. And one guy said, yeah, that doesn't go. You're focusing on that guy. Don't. And that's one thing that I've learned. That's mental filter. So I encourage you to really, really watch these distorted thoughts as they come to you, and they'll flood your mind, and how to label them. And like I said earlier in my talk here, I decided a long time ago that I was going to start to label these thoughts, and I was going to call them out. And by doing that, my anxiety just went from a 10 all the way down to about a 1 or 2. And I'm going to share with you a few more here in a few seconds here. So discounting the positive. You reject positive experiences by insisting that they don't count. If you do a good job, you may tell yourself that it wasn't good enough or that anyone could have done just as well. Discounting the positive takes the joy and sucks the joy right out of your life and makes you feel inadequate and unrewarded. So that's something that in my life I had to really work on, because I did a lot of things good in my life. Sure, I did some things bad, but I was discounting the positives all the time. Even when I played soccer, I'd score 2 goals and I thought, yeah, but that guy checked me, and then that goal went in. That was my fault. So I screwed up my whole game because of one thing that I did wrong. And that's exactly what that is. It's discounting the positives. We're going to do things right in our lives, and you're going to do things wrong. But the bottom line is, don't discount the positive things that you did or the impact you've had on people's lives. Jumping to conclusion, that was my favorite one that I used to do all the time. I'm a jumping to conclusion king. You interpret things negatively when there are no facts to support your conclusion. And that's something that I did a lot. I jumped to conclusions a lot. I'm not going to take the freeway today. It's jam-packed. It's 4 o'clock. There's no way I'm taking it. How do you know that? I mean, I always used to say there's an accident in the freeway at 4:30 every day. This freeway to go to Vancouver is absolutely jammed. And I used to jump to conclusions. Mind reading, without checking things out first, I arbitrarily concluded that someone is reacting negative to you. I do that a lot still today, that I have to call myself on it. Fortune telling, and you kind of know the name fortune telling, what it means, but you predict things that will turn out badly before a test yourself and saying, I'm really going to blow it. What if I flunk? What if I'm depressed? What if I say the wrong thing? Even today, what if I do this webinar and I suck at it and I do things wrong and I'm all tongue-tied? I'll never get better. And that's exactly what fortune telling is. You're fortune telling the future by predicting negative things will turn out when it's not even the case at all. Magnification, number 6, you exaggerate the importance of your problems and shortcomings, or you minimize the importance of your desirable qualities. This is called the binocular trick. So magnification, again, to put it in layman terms, you're really you're magnifying the actual problems are bigger than they are, and you're discounting everything else that is going good in your life, but you're magnifying and you're projecting negativity, and that's all that is. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in the next few webinars. Emotional reasoning. You assume that your negative emotions necessarily affect the way things really are. I feel terrified about going on airplanes. It must be very dangerous to fly, or I feel guilty. I must be a rotten person. I'll share with you a story that happened to me. Exactly what happened was I was going to Texas on business, and I had my brother with me, who was also a realtor, and we flew down from, we had to go to Phoenix, and from Phoenix we went to Austin, Texas. And my whole trip 10 years ago was like, my heart was beating 100 miles an hour before I even got on the plane. And I told myself that this plane is going to crash and that I'm going to be mangled. My kid's not going to see me anymore. And it's too dangerous to fly. And I just felt guilty even being on the airplane because I wasn't enjoying myself. It was supposed to be a fantastic 7 days in Austin, Texas. And we were supposed to learn some real estate seminars there. And on the flight there to Dallas, to Austin, Texas, and I can tell you, my negative thoughts flooded my mind, 100 of them all at once. I can remember being in the back of the plane. I was between my brother and another lady from my office. And I went to the bathroom and I asked the stewardess there, or the flight attendant, I said, do you guys have any gravel or anything to calm people down? And for some reason, she took that the wrong way. And she goes, are you okay, sir? You look kind of white. Are you having a panic attack? And I went, no, I'm fine. I've been duck in the water thing. I was trying to be calm and cool and collected. So I sat down in my chair, and a few minutes later, the captain comes on and says, do we have a medical personnel on board? We were having some issues in the back. And I was like looking around and thinking, I wonder what's going on. And my brother looked at, and pretty soon all eyes were on me. Yeah, that's right, me. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And I had a lady, I never met her, a big black lady with big hoop earrings sitting a couple of rows behind me. And she says, sir, I'm a nurse from Florida. Are you okay? Do you need medical attention? And I'm like, and all of a sudden the thoughts were coming worse and worse and worse. And that's not the worst of it. Not only eyes were on me because of my thinking, the way I was thinking negative, that 10 minutes before we're landing the airplane, the pilot comes on again as we have a medical emergency personnel ready to help the fellow in the back, if you can believe this. And worst nightmare comes alive. I can't make this stuff up, you guys. This is really happening. And my brother's looking at me and he's not helping. He's like, what the hell did you tell the flight attendant? I said, I didn't say anything. I just asked her for gravel. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And as I landed, that's not the worst part I come in, we're landing. All of a sudden, nobody's allowed to get out of their seats. Okay, this is from thinking, and I'm sitting there. A gurney comes aboard with two of Austin finest leading the way, and and they actually came with oxygen tanks, like putting this on my face, and I had to walk by rows of people, and they're all like, "What the hell's wrong with it?" And I had all these people from the real estate from Vancouver with me, and they're like I was like a deer in the headlights. I was white as a ghost. I mean, I'm on the terminal. They had me on a gurney, and they had oxygen masks on me. They were going to take me to the Austin hospital, and I was like, what? And I finally had to talk to these attendants and say, look, I'm fine. I know exactly what it was. I'm having an anxiety attack. But this is all started with emotional reasoning. I assumed my negative emotions was going to be happening. I actually talked myself into a panic attack, full-blown panic attack. And it just escalated from there, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I made that happen. And that was a turning point in my life, to be honest with you, because I said to myself, and it was 4 years before I got on a plane again, but it was unbelievable to go through that experience. And I see Demi says, holy cow, holy wow. It was unbelievable. And that kind of stuff happens more often than not because it starts in your mind. And how many times I see people on the freeway pulled over, and I just wonder if that lady or that man's going through what I went through with, because again, you don't know who's having a panic attack, but you can always, tell when somebody's not having an emotional breakdown. And that's what happened to me at that time. So hope you enjoyed that statement. I don't share that too many people, but now you know. Should statements. I mean, I was the greatest should person in the world. I always say, and said it earlier, don't should on yourself. You tell yourself that things should be the way you hoped or expected them to be. Should statements that are directed against yourself lead to guilt and frustration. Should statements that are directed against other people or the world in general lead to anger and frustration. He shouldn't be so stubborn. He shouldn't be so argumentative. That realtor should not sell that kind of real estate. I should do better. I should go exercise. I should lose 30 pounds. You're shooting on yourself completely, and you're comparing yourself to other people. And again, it leads to guilt and frustration. In my business, I am as a realtor, I find myself very competitive. And there are a lot of realtors here that outsell me. Yes, there are a lot of realtors in the region that do really, really well. And I find myself comparing, and I always think, well, if I should do better than this. What am I doing? Like last year, I not to brag, but I did sell 41 homes last year, and that's pretty good for a realtor. They say 15, 20, you're a good realtor. So, I mean, I compare myself to people who have sold 60 or 70 or 80. Again, these people have teams. They have their own personal secretary. They have 3 or 4 other agents. They have a huge budget. They market, and they're just doing something different than I am. I tend to focus on more personal, care on people. I'm just that type of person. So again, I had to talk myself out of the should statements because it was very, very real for me. Most of my life, I should myself a lot. Labeling is another one. Labeling is an extreme form of all or nothing thinking. Instead of saying I made a mistake, you attach a negative label to yourself. For example, I'm a loser. I can't do this. I can't sell real estate. You're labeling yourself, which is completely wrong. You may also label others. When someone does something that rubs you the wrong way, you may tell yourself, well, that guy's an SOB. What a jerk, right? That's labeling. And it's a negative thinking pattern, and you've got to stop that immediately because labeling is not healthy for you or for anybody else around you. And yeah, when we're mad and a guy cuts you off, yeah, that guy's a jerk. Yeah, what happens? And you know what's going to happen a lot. But you know what? I was doing it daily, and I was doing it hourly, and I was labeling a lot of people around me. And the negativity that I surrounded me was like a cloud, a black cloud. And I never want to live like that again. And neither should you, right? Personalization and blame. Personalization comes when you hold yourself personally responsible for an event that isn't entirely under your control. Some people do the opposite. They blame other people or their circumstances for their problems, and they overlook ways they might be contributing to the problem. That's called personalization and blame. So I find myself that I personally held myself responsible for a lot of things in my life that were not in my control. And some people out there know what I'm talking about. Stop personalizing and blaming yourself for things you have no control of. For myself, it was, that I should be a better parent, for example. And I blamed myself for my kids, the way they were acting. And that's not right. Okay. So the past hour, we've talked about a lot of stuff, and it will hurt. It will take time. It will require dedication on your part to get better. will require willpower. It will need you to make healthy decisions, starting with your thoughts. You'll need to push your body to its max, okay? Because a lot of times it feels comfortable just being the way you are. Trust me, for years I've done that. I didn't want to get any better, and I just wanted to be who I was. I didn't care anymore. And there'll be some temptation to go back to your stinking thinking again. But I promise you, when it's done, you reach your goal, it will be worth it. It will absolutely be worth it. And, you know, a few years ago too, I went to Las Vegas with my girlfriend, and we had a wonderful time. And again, those bad thoughts were coming in my mind, because remember the trip to Austin, I thought, here we go, Las Vegas, get ready, get the ambulance ready at the runway, because I'm going to be needing you. The trip was beautiful. Watched movies, we had some snacks, we laughed, we giggled, we talked about life. And you know what? It was a fantastic time. The flight, I'm saying, it was great. And I had no problems at all, because again, I projected positive thoughts. I knew what these were, these negative thoughts, and I combated them. And that's exactly what we're going to share with you how to do. Would you agree so far, everybody? That's been a time well spent. Let's hear you guys out there. And yes, everybody's out there saying yes. Perfect. Did you guys learn something so far today? Perfect. Absolutely. So we're going to stop doing negative thoughts, because negative thoughts are what causes your anxiety. And you don't even have to have anxiety, but the negative thoughts not only changes the way you think, but the quality of life you have from it is what, you know, a lot of successful people out there will tell you that you control your thoughts and your mind. And that's the first step to get successful. So this is called the STA method, the stop and think and act. You're going to get the worksheet to practice this week. So anybody that wants a worksheet, Trina, by the way, wonderful. She's going to be able to send that to everybody that asks for it here. All the worksheets come with it. There's so much more to anxiety, and I want to teach you more techniques, but I can't switch it all in 1 hour webinar, obviously. I don't want to take much of your time. We're already at 46 minutes so far, and we're going to wrap this up here. So I invite you to stop the Anxiety 101 Fundamental course today. The 101 course that I have contains 11 easy to follow lessons plus more. So I've got a lot of things on here that I've spent the last 12 to 14 months putting together for everybody. So if you're interested, absolutely, it's a must if you want to change the way you think and you want to get through this anxiety time of your life, right? Old habits die hard. Changing the way you think is crucial to your recovery. I want everybody to know that. It's a 3-step process. It's not going to happen overnight. Identify the behaviors you want to eliminate. Identify the behaviors you want to do. Practice substituting behaviors you want to eliminate. Remember, nothing survives in a vacuum. You have to replace that negative thought with a positive reinforcement. You want to eliminate the negative thoughts with positive. That's the key. By practicing the ST method, these techniques become automated and second nature. You know, for a long time there, I even had we all heard this before, have a little rubber band around your neck and just snap it when a negative thoughts come. That was incredible for me to do, because I had red wrists for a long time because I snapped that thing all the time, and I had to rechange the way I was thinking. And I wouldn't be, by the way, I trained my career about 13 years ago. I was a chef before that. And I wouldn't have changed my career and being in a positive driven real estate industry if I wasn't changing my thoughts. Because trust me, people can read you. If I'm a negative person and I was doing real estate and I was selling 35, 40 homes a year, I wouldn't be able to do that being a negative person. So I had to really, really work on this. And by doing that, it not only helped my career, but helped my anxiety, right? So we all think before we act. So have fun with this exercise. And I want you to use the worksheet that I will be emailed to you after this training. And then join our Facebook group, which is Anxiety 101, right? We'll send you a link. Trina says, okay. And you'll be able to identify exactly what I've talked about today in this little webinar. So I want you to practice while you watch TV, listening to friends, family, and your own thoughts. I want you to practice and then try to identify some of these thoughts that come into your mind and label them. Think of it almost like a filing folder in your mind, and you're going to put them in different files, these thoughts. And not only put them there, but we're going to pull another file out and we're going to reinforce that thought with a positive one. And it's a game I play every single day, and it actually works, because many times when I put my feet to the ground, a lot of times the little voice inside me is, I don't want to go to work. Negative starts right away. You have to reinforce it. And that's exactly what we're going to do together. So you'll be thrilled that I put this all in practice with some techniques, and you'll be well on your way to having a way to conquer anxiety, right? So some of the pictures here of myself here, that's me on a plane there with Trina. and hashtag we're doing there. And I was happy, as you can see, because I was enjoying my time on the airplane without having the paramedics come aboard and take me away. Las Vegas was fantastic, and we were at yes, the pawn shop there, as you guys see down there in that picture there. You probably see that Rick and those guys in the pawn shop there. We were having lots of fun. We went to a lot of shows, and we went to a couple shows and we won some money. I think we won a couple $100 at one time and lost about $7, but we had fun, and that's the key. So what you're going to get, if you're interested, is this course is a Stop Anxiety 101 Fundamental course. Includes worksheets to help you practice techniques, 11 easy to follow lessons. It's a $197 value. Like I say, it took us 12 to 14 months to put this together. So it's a lot of work we put into this program. And 60-minute relaxation audio. It's a $297 value. Facebook group, ask questions and get support. So we valued all this around $494, okay? However, we have some bonus package that we're going to keep up for a bit, and these are 10 Calm Mind videos. This is really extremely important because I had to control my thoughts, and how I did that is by using a lot of the videos that are calm my mind. After a long day in real estate, obviously there's a lot of things going on, so I had to really take 10, 15 minutes for myself and actually calm myself down. And one of the ways I did this is by the Calm Mind videos, which is incredible. It's a step-by-step process. This bonus will only be available for the next 48 hours or so, and it's $297. So what we've done here, we put it all together, and we put it only for $97 today to go, to start this incredible journey to health and be anxiety-free life. And you can get this all together for $97. So that's pretty well the end of my show, webinar today. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. And does anybody have any questions here? Trina said I should ask questions. Anybody have any questions for me? Anybody that wants to know something that I can help you with? I'd be more than glad to help you. Okay. Well, at this time, I want to thank you, everybody, for coming aboard here today and watching the webinar. And I really hope that you guys come to our Facebook group and come and check us out. And I think you'd be very, very impressed. Until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. It's very, very important that you follow the steps that we've practiced here today. Take care, guys, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye for now. Okay. All right.